You know that feeling you get when you arrive somewhere about 15 minutes too late? Got that. So back on Skye, sorry, just putting my backpack on properly. Back on Skye, and there's a little village here called Breakish. And in fact, about 4 hours ago, I was stood about here, but the water was about up here. So we were swimming, snorkeling, and actually came out to this little rocky outcrop here. So the tide has gone way out, but looking across Skye towards these mountains, and feel like if I'd been here 10 or 15 minutes earlier, it would have been a lot better. But I'm going to try and make the best of what we've got, and I'll show you what I'm doing. So I'm looking across at the range here, and the sun has just gone down. There's some lovely clouds kind of just bubbling up on the horizon and on the mountaintops. So I've put my 70-200 lens on, and I've zoomed in quite a bit onto the mountains. I've focused on the mountains, but I'm taking my reading off the sky, because what I want is the silhouettes of the mountains, and it'll be a kind of a slim panorama, but I'm hoping to catch some of that wonderful cloud. So I'm just going to take probably a 1, 2, how many is that? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 series panorama. I'm obviously in kind of vertical mode, but I'm look at the, you probably won't be able to see on the GoPro. There's a lovely bit of cloud just on the top, and it's picking up the last bit of sun. So I might switch into kind of landscape mode and try and zoom in. I can zoom in quite a bit more. I'm going to try and zoom in and get that cloud. So bear with me while I switch this round, because I need both hands to switch it. So see you in a second. Tide's on its way in now, so if I stood here for about, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours, they'll be back up to my neck. So I switched into landscape mode, and I took a couple of quick images, trying to get the clouds in, but the foreground is really disappointing. So as I said, I got here a little bit too late to find a decent foreground. So I've switched back to kind of vertical mode, and I'm going to take I've zoomed in, I think almost all the way to 200, and I'm going to take a panorama that's going to consist of a lot of images. So I'm going to do it once zoomed in all the way, and then I'll do it again zoomed out a little bit, just to give me a bit of extra leeway. But the foreground is kind of rubbish, really. The issue with panoramas is always knowing when to stop. Kind of where's the end? So I've taken that. I lost count of how many that was, because I was talking to you. But I'm gonna zoom out a bit now and do another one, so that if on the previous one I've done, I've not got enough room to play with, I've given myself more room to play with on this one. I've switched down to f4 on this lens, because, as I said, the foreground is really terrible. So I'm not really interested in the foreground. I'll probably edit out most of the foreground, crop it out, I mean, rather than edit it out. So f4, and I've just focused on the mountain. So I don't really need any of the foreground, and I'm going to have to move because the water's coming up over the top of my shoes. So see you again. But it's just the conditions that, in terms of the cloud, is absolutely stunning. It's not bad behind me either. I've come up onto kind of higher bit of ground. In fact, it's an old cemetery with a rather epic tree, a dead tree in the middle of the cemetery, which would be great if you were doing a kind of a Milky Way shot or something. But I wanted to get a little bit of elevation. The tide was coming in. The foreground, as I said, wasn't great. So I've come up a bit, and I'm looking across now. So the sun went down just almost kind of in the V of the mountains over there, just to the kind of left of the mountain. So not quite in the V, but kind of almost. So there's a little bit of colour coming up there, and there's quite a nice cloud. So I'm just focusing on kind of those two mountains with the cloud, but I'm trying to get an image with some of the water showing. So again, it's going to be a kind of a bit of a silhouette, but camera's struggling to focus a little bit. I'm going to bracket. So I'm bracketing just on the off chance that when I kind of come to process it, that I'm actually happy with what's happening in the foreground. There's some water kind of coming across the bottom of the image. So when I get to processing, if I'm happy with it, I might make something of that. But I'm loving the look of the cloud. It's just kind of spiraling up across the peaks after the sun's gone down, and it's not a bad place to be. It helps that it's a little bit windy, so there's no midges. It's a little bit cool. The heating actually came on last night at the house. Kind of heating came on. So temperature must have dropped below 12 degrees because that's what the heating was set for. So getting cooler of a nice, feels like autumn's on the way. But I'm just going to take a few more there, then it'll probably be too dark. I'm going to head home, but I'm heading home over the Skye Bridge. So what Una doesn't know yet is I might stop on the Skye Bridge and do a kind of long exposure down down Loch Dewick from the Skye Bridge, but I haven't told her that yet. She stood patiently in the graveyard waiting for me. Well, I'm on the Skye Bridge. It's a bit busy. It's a bit of a contrast between being on the beach and nobody around, and then standing on a bridge, which is beautiful. The beautiful scene, kind of looking over onto Skye and then looking down Loch Dewick. But cars coming past every now and then. But one of the challenges I've got, there's quite high railing, but there's I'm not sure you'll be able to see this, but there's a building down there, which I believe is the Gavin Maxwell Museum, car going past. So I'm just taking an image with the Gavin Maxwell Museum in the bottom corner and trying to get some of these lights from Isle of Skye. I'm on f11 and that gives me a 13-second exposure. Now there's another smaller bridge just before you come to the main Skye Bridge, so I've been trying to time it to get a car coming over that bridge as well. But I'm going to swing round and try and make a shot looking further down the loch as well, and see how that goes. But I'm trying to get the timing right of getting a car kind of coming that way. There's cars going that way actually, so maybe get the red kind of driving lights going across the bridge, but we'll see how that turns out. And then once I've done a couple of those, kind of pack up. So hope you enjoyed the trip to the Skye Bridge. Lovely moon coming up, and I'll see you next time. Cheers, bye.